drifted alarmingly in the betting was, Felsted in the morning continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Burns.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
Hello and welcome. Yes, it's another Sunday sermon, and we are on the eve of Cheltenham, where everyone's excited, everyone is bouncing, and certainly we're here to chew the fat. Prior to this, we've got a Cheltenham preview show, by the way, which takes place. It goes online on Monday evening to Patreon members. It might be earlier than that, actually. The producer's just winking at me now. She says it could be earlier on Monday and then free to all on Tuesday. And that involves Catherine Fry, myself, John, Michael Cannon Racing, that's a bookmaker at Cheltenham, and Andy Richmond. It should be a lot of fun. Certainly, we've got a different style to most Cheltenham preview podcasts, so make sure you tune in to that show.
Fortunately.
It should be great stuff. Let's come on to this show, though. It's the sermon, after all. We're now into our 5th year of broadcasting, which is quite phenomenal, really, John. When we first did this, did you see us 5 years down the line still doing it?
I didn't think we'd still be alive, to be honest. Constant disappointment. Here we are, still.
It's astonishing. I never thought this would be this. John first come to me with the idea of doing it, and he said, I think we should do a podcast. And he said, I think we should do it to keep in touch with each other, because obviously with a lockdown and everything else, it was a good way of mixing. And here we are 5 years later. It's wow. Some people will say we are shit, but we're not totally shit.
No.
I think that's the key selling point, isn't it?
It's the not totally shit bit.
Yeah. How we've survived.
No one ever lost a fortune by underestimating public taste. I think it's Phineas T. Barnum said that, and he's right. There's no depths to which people won't plumb.
Yeah. I think that's it. We've certainly attracted a certain audience that seems to like what we do. And I can't get my head around that because it's just 3 blokes talking shit on a racing week. But I think 5 years of broadcasting in the wilderness is quite an achievement, no matter what. No matter what your listener figures are, I think it's an achievement to do it. And
we're getting up there with the likes of Radio Caroline, aren't we? And
yeah, that.
Pirate radio for the radio.
Hospital radio everywhere, yeah.
So focusing on this, we started this on sort of mental health issue. I wanted to run past you two. How's your mental health been recently? Is it good? Is it normal? Chris, you've gone through life, raised a family, you've got dogs.
Yeah.
You've lived a life, so to speak. How does your mental health fluctuate from time to time?
It doesn't fluctuate at all. It's constant depression. And I say that not in a glib way.
Yeah.
Just constantly depressed. I have the black dog all the time. And I've tried every sort of single technique, medication. This doesn't seem to lift because I feel that people of our generation, the world inevitably is starting to leave you behind, isn't it? Yeah, and that's the problem. And every day I look at things in the news and hear what people say and say, this is fucking madness. But the likelihood is that it's me who's completely out of touch. But I do think once you get to a certain age, life moves on, doesn't it? And you feel very disconnected. So this is a tonic for me. And I would hope it's a tonic for people in a similar position, because there ain't a lot to look forward to at the moment, is there, really, in life? Freedoms are being taken away. Things are more expensive. In the World Economic Forum, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And that does actually seem to be coming to pass.
You're an intelligent man. I'll say this from knowing you a long time. No, you are. You do yourself a disservice. You are very eloquent. Your writing pieces are of eloquence. You have a legal background to a degree.
Yes.
And I've known you through racing. You've owned horses with me when we did Syndicate in the past. And we're still here all these years later.
Yeah.
None of us are saints. You're not a saint. I'm not a saint. John Lang's not a saint. Yet we're still here chewing the fat. And what I would say to people that are suffering with your mental health, and me myself at the moment, Chris, I am struggling. Honestly, punters need to email me and tell me to back something next week that they want beat. I'll get it beat. I'm on that sort of run. It's fucking incredible. Yeah. But then I had a new lease of life last night, And I said to myself,
Yeah.
I remember a punter that used to come into my betting shop years ago, and he said, if you worry, you die. If you don't worry, you die. So why worry? You should always have a positive going forwards mental attitude, no matter how tough it gets, and always be positive.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself. Because remember, Chris, if you don't believe in you,
Nobody else does. Yeah,
and these are crucial points,
that's absolutely right.
basic points to improve your own personal well-being. Keep believing in yourself and the process and what you're doing, even if it's failing
Yeah.
at a certain point or
Yeah.
you're having terrible times or bad luck. I think that's important for
Yeah.
people to grasp. You know, it's like a fog when you're backing loser after loser and you're getting chinned on the line and there's no money coming in. Fucking, this has got to change. There's a fog, isn't there, that clouds your brain that says this is just meant to be. And I'm just the biggest fucking loser on the planet. How many times do I suffer this? And I think everyone goes through that. That's what's important for punters to realise. John, I'm going to come on to you now. Even though I know you well, certainly one of my best friends. Have you had some dark times and how have you coped getting through it?
Probably with a massive slate of ill-conceived self-belief.
Mm. Yeah.
Self-belief is something I've never been short of. Even in the darkest times, I've usually managed to rustle up a bit of self-salation, if you like.
Yeah.
To give myself a bit of a buck up. I had a particularly dark patch last year when my own pig-headedness got me into a bit of trouble accommodation-wise, and then came through that with the help of some good people. And I always find these things are having to working themselves out, whether by luck or judgment or whatever. When I've had problems with, like, relating to other people or anything like that, I tend to just tell myself, look, they don't carry guns, they're not going to put one in you. What's the worst that can happen? We carry on, we keep fighting, we keep studying, and these little triumphs along the way just help us out and keep us going, don't they?
Sly Stallone was right when he said, I think it was Rocky 6, you have to keep moving forwards. Otherwise, you beat. And this is what you have to do, no matter how tough times are. We'll get slagged off. We run Patreon services that aren't performing like we want them to at the moment, but that's the key. You believe in the process, you trust the process because you know you're good. You know you're better overall than the market long term. But it's a case of just surviving that. And it's same for all punters, whether you're suffering in life, work, choices, whatever. There's always going to be an upside, and you have to cling to that upside all the time. Keep moving forwards. I thought I'd start the show off on that because I can feel it. I know it was Eva Cheltenham Festival and people are excited for
There's a
Cheltenham.
lot of people suffering out there.
Yeah, that's why we started this podcast. And we're going to bring some fun to this in a minute.
I don't think it's a good time to mention this as well, because nobody should be left behind this week. People are looking forward to Cheltenham and all the rest of it. But there will be racing followers going into next week that's in dark places.
Yep, not everyone's bouncing. No.
And I think it's good that they know that people are thinking about them and want them to get through it.
Yeah, positive mindset always. The best you can be for the next 24 hours has always been my methodology. Chris, I'm bringing you in here because you inspired me on a certain topic a while ago. We have developed new listeners. The topic of luck and how some people will rubbish luck and will say, oh no, if you're good, luck has no part in it. You offered an alternative point of view on luck in life. Can you think of your examples of the past where luck played a part in people's fortunes, so to speak?
One of the main things is luck tends to beat everything. I always remember a story of a chap that was a betting shop manager for Surrey Racing. And there was a chap that used to come in there all the time and have sort of muggy doubles, trebles, accumulators on bags, dogs, etc. And this manager, unfortunately, concluded that if he took this chap on privately, would be a license to print money. And of course, he did start to take these chaps' bets, and he was winning until he wasn't. Because at one day, this chap had an enormous accumulator up. I think it was sort of six figures. And of course, he couldn't get paid. and the chap ended up having to go on the run, got nicked, and went to jail. Now, if you were a logical person and you're a bookmaker, you want this man's bets all the time, right? You'd take him on day in, day out, because ultimately he was a mug. But one day he had a bit of luck, or a massive slice of luck, to the cost of the bookmaker taking that money on. And of course, he turned a massive losing account into a massive winning account. Luck will always beat everything in long term, and you must never run people down or think that, well, this person's an idiot, etc., etc. Because sometimes luck will just beat everything. And that was a classic example of somebody that ought to have won long term, taking this man's bets, but ended up going to jail. And that always stuck with me about how luck can sometimes defy all logic.
Wasn't there a story in your own family? Was it your father?
Yeah, he was going to buy in with a fella into something which was very new at the time, which was laundrette. Ultimately, housewives previously used to wash stuff by hand. In London, in the West End, there was something called a laundrette where people could take their washing in and have them washed by machine. His friend said, this is brilliant. This is going to revolutionise the way in which people run their households. They got some money together, got a lease on a shop. The business partner said, right, when I get back from my holiday, it's going to happen. We're going to do this, etc., etc. Of course, guess what? The chap went on holiday and died. He died of a heart attack, leaving my dad with the lease of this place. He couldn't get himself out of it, and he ended up selling it to somebody who did turn it into a laundrette. They ran it successfully for 10 years and sold it, I think, to Hoover for X million quid, and boom. And that was just one slice of appalling luck that no one could have calculated, that turned the difference between what was life-changing generational wealth into absolutely fuck all. Everyone, I'm sure, has got numerous examples of how luck just sometimes intervenes, and you can't model it, you can't put it on a spreadsheet. Sometimes just something from left field comes and does you. You must always factor that in.
You've always been an advocate. You could have two people of similar ability with similar skill set. One could be incredibly successful. One could be on the breadline.
Yes, it's ultimately down to choices that you make, but fundamentally, luck plays a much bigger part in people's success than successful people will have you believe. When you see these tycoons and say, well, I did this, I did that, and I'm successful because I'm incredibly clever, what they will tend to downplay is the role that chance meetings, chance decisions have played in their overall success. You can have the same skill set, do the same thing, but one day you might be there and a phone call comes in and it changes the course of your life, but it takes you on a different path. And that is luck. That's not skill. That's not being in the right place. Well, it is being in the right place at the right time, but through nothing that you've done. All you can do is try and put yourself in a situation where if luck is going to favour you, you're in the right place at the right time. But for most people in life who work hard, etc., that never happens. Really never happens. And unfortunately, that's just the way of it. And some people are fundamentally luckier than others. I really do believe that.
Yeah, it's always been an interesting topic that you've certainly enlightened me on back in the day. And obviously we have new listeners now, so it's for them about how luck sometimes, when people say, no, if you're good enough, luck doesn't come into it. I think me and you think that's bollocks, don't we?
Yeah, it is bollocks. Luck plays a role. Yes, there are lots of things you can do to put you in a position where the fortune can favour you. You know, if you're out and about and increase your opportunities. But fundamentally, if luck does never taps on your door, or good luck never taps on your door, there ain't nothing you can do about it. And the world is full of people that work hard, have got skills, etc., that just never seem to get the breaks. And yet there are some people who get more than their share of breaks. You can't explain that. There's no way to rationalise it. It just is. And unfortunately, that applies in punting. You can be the best judge in the world, but if you don't get that lucky accumulator up that changes your life and moves you on to the next level, it ain't going to happen for you.
Interesting shout. John, what do you view luck as?
Well, I don't think there's any bigger aspect of luck than birth canal bingo. Myself. And for a prime example, you only have to look at our sovereign sausage fingers.
Yeah.
If he'd been born to a council estate, what the hell would he have made of himself? He's got his big flappy lugs, his sausage fingers, he talks to plants, and he wants to be a Tampax. How long would he have lasted?
Do you know, over the years, I've loved your Republican style rants in terms of his hat gets its own car.
Absolutely.
And we've got Chariot Form at Ascot.
Yeah, we're in a society where the hat has a car and it's bulletproof.
Even the hat can't get shot.
The hat is bulletproof.
And so they go down the carriages at Ascot, and then everyone's watching whether they've gone down far side, middle, or stand side. Chariot Form is alive at Ascot.
Get on the carriage steps.
Absolutely. That's the Royal Ascot tip of the year. Watch for Chariot Form, where they've all gone down, all these big fat oiks that eat for England, quaff on big dinners, are all in the carriages.
Like the fucking Barstewards.
Yeah.
In the parade and all the taxman Christ
Yeah.
knows what.
There's about 70 or 80 stone in these carriages.
Yeah. That's after a late lunch.
They've had the pre-lunch before they set off, and then they're in for more quaffing when they get there. So Chariot Form for Royal Ascot, that's coming forwards for this year as always. Right, McManus.
I thought you were going to say Mick.
I was going to say he'd been onto the podcast and messaged us. He hasn't.
Yeah.
But he said, maximum field sizes for Cheltenham festival handicaps should be reduced. That's what JP McManus is advocating. On welfare grounds, John, what's your view?
No.
No.
He's in a position where he can get plenty of runners at Cheltenham.
Yeah.
There's a lot of owners just praying that their one chaser or hurdler can sneak in at the bottom of the Coral Cup or the Ultima or whatever it is. And no, I think the safety limits have been well tested at Cheltenham. I wouldn't believe there's been that many falls due to overcrowding. I think horses fall independently, but I don't think it's a case of the track's not wide enough.
He says only 18 horses should be allowed in the handicaps. Let's get this straight, right? In Ireland, don't they have 27 runner handicap hurdles?
Yeah.
So where's this come from?
Unbelievable. I don't get it.
I do respect the great man, but at the same time, why is Cheltenham singled out for 18?
I respect a lot of great men until they start spouting off from a self-interest point of view.
Yeah, when he's got 5 runners.
Yeah.
5 out of the 18.
Yeah.
In the green cap and in the red cap and the blue cap and the green cap with a white star. Yeah.
No, I can't have it. I'm sorry. I think if there was any issue over field sizes at Cheltenham, it would have been addressed by now because, well, we've got a fairly overreactive ruling body at the moment, haven't we, regarding welfare? So
let's be fair with the Cheltenham. We've even said over time they've took birch out the fences at Cheltenham. Definitely have. It's not as stiff as it used to be. There's been some really tough fences at Cheltenham in the past. Had to really jump around there. Now, I don't think it's not a test like it ever was. The fact he's coming on saying 18 horses, we all know what it really should be. It should be a 3-day meeting, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. They're kind of letting too many in insofar as there's too many races. It's nothing to do with the field sizes. Yeah. There's just so much on offer, and it's dilute quality of the races.
Well, talking about Cheltenham, because obviously doing our preview, we'll be talking about what we fancy, but at the same time, let's talk about the problems Cheltenham's got at the moment. Uncompetitive fields in many races in terms of the grade ones and the main races are splitting up to small field sizes and odds-on shots. How is that fun for a punter if you're not blogger?
Well, I was going to say the blogger's not bothered because if he can get 10 to 11 Constitution Hill, he's going to have the biggest cash bet of his life, isn't he?
Cash!
I would suggest if it's his own cash, will probably be about 15 quid.
Who knows what the blogger does, but it's bollocks, isn't it? We've got short price favourite after favourite. It doesn't even come close to Royal Ascot, does it? In terms of festival terms anymore. It's boring.
Absolutely. And I'm excited for a full week before Ascot.
Yeah.
This is like ODing on Horlicks.
Indeed. And a question on this. Tony Earnshaw's been on Festival Fever. Could be the worst one ever. Who cares this year?
I don't think we're ever going to have epic festivals while we have this format where the mares have a separate champion hurdle and the Ryanair's diluting the Gold Cup. I don't think we're ever going to have an epic festival while we've got those. Because this year, if we didn't have those, I think we could have had a superb festival.
Yeah. But we've said it as a pod for ages that the 3-day festival used to be top class. It used to be championship races. You had to be at the top of your game to win any of them. And that was it. Now you could get a top class mare running £10 below her form and still winning a mare's hurdle if she's that good.
Yeah.
And it's kind of boring. Like you say, there's no intrigue to it all.
No.
The brighter days ahead, Constitutional, I suppose, in the champion does add intrigue. But apart from that, I don't really see anything else in the festival igniting the passion.
No, unless you're a handicapper picked out and you're thinking, yes, this is it. There's nothing to get stoned about, really.
Oh, Chris, I'm bringing you back in here.
Yes.
You own a house in Cheltenham, and they're all shitting and pissing on your drive and your plants. They're having to get coppers in,
Yes.
like last year, to guard the drive. What would you do to the pissers and shitters on that drive?
Nothing, because I wouldn't be there. I'd have rented the house out, honestly. We'll give a shit.
If you were there, though, would you sit there with an air rifle?
Yes, I probably would. I'll be picking them off, actually. But yeah, my sense would be I have great contempt for that sort of antisocial behaviour anyway. So yeah, I'll be probably sitting up in the eerie kind of like Lee Harvey Oswald style or Texas Book Depository and popping them off, I think. I couldn't have that. But look, it's a society we live in. That's the kind of people that the sport seems to want to attract, doesn't it? Drunks and fucking kids. So yeah, that's where the money is.
What are your dogs that you have?
German Shepherds, so yeah, they're pretty handy. They're good as gold. We'd have a few more of those, I think, and set them on the fucking race goers. You've no time for that kind of crap behaviour. I really don't. But again, if you got a house in Cheltenham, you'd be mad not to rent it out, would you? The money's there, so have it.
What's the temperament of German Shepherds?
They're all right. They're hard work in the main. They do require a lot of attention. But the bottom line is, if you've got animals anyway and you're not prepared to put the time in or the effort in, you shouldn't have them anyway. So they are what they are. You know, they got high prey drive. They need quite a fair bit of exercise, but not excessive amounts of exercise, to be honest with you. If you get from the right breeder, they are generally good family pets, I think.
They're friendly?
Yeah, 100%. You will get some German Shepherds that are less than friendly, but if you shop around, you know what you're doing. You want to be buying from places that have got a pet temperament. They can be quite skittish, but there are a lot of bad breeders out there. It's like anything. It's a very lucrative way to make money, and there are a lot of backyard breeders which you should avoid at all costs. But at the end of the day, where there's money where you can charge 1,500 quid, £2,000 a pup, then you're going to get idiots, aren't you? That's the problem. So you've got to be very careful with any dog, really. Doesn't matter what they are. They're all capable of, bad behaviour.
Before Cheltenham theme, I would like to say the winner of the Barstewards mug that Chris thinks no one wants.
And I'm right.
Jeff Lynch had the best reasoning for the gravy train. We're not going to say it on the podcast because I don't want libel. We like that one. So we'll give it to Jeff Lynch.
Yeah.
And we'll give one to Samuel the cat if he wants it as an honorary bar steward, so to speak.
I think he should get it whether he wants it or not.
Yeah. Samuel the cat, you've got yourself a mug. And these are limited, by the way. Despite what Chris says, Chris is nonsense. He's not going to be watching Antiques Roadshow in 30 years because he'll be dead.
Yes, hopefully, God willing. Yeah.
And these could be worth plenty. Don't use it. Don't put tea or coffee in it. Even though they're high quality.
Man's used daily.
These don't wear out. These are like fucking Duracell bunnies. We haven't done the cheap shit. You know the cheap mugs that after a while, when you put a hot cup of tea in, put your mouth to it, and it burns your mouth on the rim because the cup's not insulated properly. It's not them cups. We've done that right. Ice Cold Cube. He says, as we brace ourselves for layer upon layer overselling by mainly useless TV, Bob. I know, just saying it as it is. We open a book on the most overused cliches of the week. I wouldn't swap him or her for anything else. It's what Cheltenham is all about. Blah, 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 blah. Over to you, lads and listeners. John, what cliche do you expect to see next week from anyone concerned at the Cheltenham Festival?
I think it'd be long odds against Mick Fitz not describing one as a grand chasing type.
How's the farm to win?
Yeah, I think that's odds on to be whaled out. Anything he does over hurdles is a bonus. Alice will be growling when she's going round the paddock and she'll be saying, "Oh, he's really up for this. He's strutting his stuff." I mean, that's chalk on a blackboard to me. The list is endless, really, isn't it? If they were sat there with them all written down in front of them, they wouldn't need to do any research. They could just trot them out one after another and just rejig them for the next race and do them in a different order.
Is Alice's growler?
Steady on now.
We'll not go there then.
No.
Good answer, John. Grumpy Punter has been on. We love a grumpy punter. We're all fucking grumpy. All of us. Your top 3 jockey who will be riding at the Fez this year that you think might give punters a slight edge with the selection. John, who are you looking out for on the jumps? Who do you like in the saddle in terms of national hunt at
Paul
jockeys?
Carberry, Roby Walsh, and Jerry Newman.
They've all retired. John, we're fucked.
Yeah.
You've just come with 3 brilliant ones, and we're all fucked. What about now, though? Who does it?
Oh, dear. I
Rachel Blackmore's not winning any more boat races.
No, I don't think she's come back as good, to be honest.
No.
I like Kennedy. I think he can ride a nice race round there. He's patient and he's not over ambitious at his fences sometimes. And he'll give one quite a level-headed start to ride. In Townend, obviously, you wouldn't be put off. The ones I worry about are the likes of Brian Hughes that struggle to find where the track is if he's driving himself down there, despite all his winners. I'm always very wary of jockeys like that spend all the time up here.
Chris, there must be a jockey you've liked.
Yeah, and I can't remember his name. Who rides for Gavin Cromwell in Ireland? I can't remember his bloody name. Oh, come on, help me out here. I've got a mental block. I think he's very cool. I think if the horses are good enough, he'll do the business. But I think, you know what, they're much of a muchness, aren't they? Townend is very, very good. He makes fewest mistakes, but there isn't one absolute standout, I don't think, that you think, yeah, that individual's worth £7. I think they're all pretty samey at the minute. Nobody sticks out for me at all, really. They really don't.
John, have we got no national jockey stars then at the moment?
Personally, I don't feel as though we have. I don't think anybody stands out.
You can't blame all that on Perham, can you? And Dave Cross.
No, 96% of it. I think we were very lucky that we had Carberry and Roby Walsh come along at the same time.
Yeah.
Possibly you could include A.P. McCoy, but he was more a manufactured jockey than the other two.
A.P. McCoy was like uber strong, really, wasn't he? He was more of a Sean Bowen.
He made himself into a good jockey.
Yeah.
Whereas the other two, even if they'd never bothered being jockeys, they had it in them to be good jockeys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm going to ask Chris here on this. Norman Williamson. Do you regard Norman Williamson as a top class national jockey?
I think he was, yeah. He exuded natural talent, didn't he? John's point's right. McCoy forced himself to be a jockey, didn't he?
Granelli. I'm
will to win.
This.
Granelli. Yeah, Granelli's a fucking ice cream van. So what the
fucking
madness? Yeah. I think he was top class. I think McCoy's will to win overcame any technical deficiencies, didn't he? His will to win was extraordinary. But, you know, was he the most talented? Absolutely not.
McCoy was the boycott of jockeys, wasn't he?
Yeah, totally. By sheer dint of personality, forced himself to be better than those other individuals. But it came down to raw talent. No, absolutely not. But raw talent doesn't pay bills, does it?
Good answers there. I like that. Dan Borden has been on a separate subject, and he said, Highclere managing to stand 2 of the biggest mentalists in Dr. Funk and Motivator. Dan, you're a genius. Thus poisoned even Her Majesty's already fruitcake-laden lines. I knew you'd like this, John. Was probably not the wisest move. Land Force was just rank bad business in pursuit of cheap speed. John, come on, let's have Highclere on this.
There's fantastic goings on over at Highclere Towers. The 2 Warrens, senior and junior, obviously availed themselves of either Netflix or Amazon, wherever it's on, and been watching Clarkson's farm. And
I like Clarkson's farm. It's hilarious.
I'm not saying there's anything not to like about Clarkson's farm.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that there's been two sets of shining teeth on the Warren sofa watching these shows, and they've come to the conclusion that as the racing game is inextricably Donald Ducked, they need to diversify. So they're getting some pigs and cattle, and they're going to start slaughtering cattle and feeding it to people who come to visit, and it's all going to be wonderful. And they've got some lovely stallions like Dr. Fong. And
John,
yeah,
why aren't you ringing Highclere up and saying Yozza Hughes style? Gives a job.
because I would rather work on a long-term contract enslaved to Satan himself.
You have more fun, that's for sure.
Yeah. So you're saying you wouldn't want to usurp the Warrens, Harry Herbert on your knowledge. You would rather work for Satan.
Absolutely. No question.
And there you have it. It's a Barstewards exclusive right there. Sublime. Another issue we've come across is the Sporting Life website. Yes, an innocuous website, of course, but apparently it's not. This is a website that is asking for documents.
Yeah.
Owned by Skybet and Flutter. Chris, John, what is this nonsense?
Well, it is nonsense because there's no porn on there, so I'm not giving them anything.
I'm only interested in dwarf porn.
Quite
to be
right.
honest. That's the in thing.
Besides for a few articles, Lee, there's nothing
Yeah.
on there you can't get anywhere else, and why the hell do they need anything?
Lydia and Cunningham right on there.
Well, I would expect Lydia and Cunningham to speak out against this then.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Well, you'd expect it. I agree.
Mm.
You've said it. Yeah, we expect Lydia and Cunningham to speak out on Sporting Life customers to their website being asked for what is akin to affordability checks. You will not get further without affordability checks. Chris, what's your view?
It's absurd, isn't it? But you're right. You would expect and hope that they would speak out. But it is a bizarre development, and I can't fathom the rationale behind it. It's bizarre, but it's the direction of travel, isn't it? They don't want people to have a bet, do they?
We took them that way.
It's really odd, but there you go.
I promise some fun on this show, and we're going to get it. This is where the Barstewards, all three of us, take the gambling questionnaire, whether you're a problem gambler.
All right.
We're going to do it live right now.
Okay.
Yes. Answer the following questions when thinking about your gambling behavior over the past 12 months.
Right.
Right. Okay. Have you bet more than you could afford to really lose?
Yes.
Never.
Yes.
Sometimes. Most of the time. Always.
Fucking most of it. Sometimes.
John says most of
No, sometimes.
the time. Chris, what's your answer?
Sometimes, I think the honest answer. Sometimes, yeah.
I think we'll go sometimes then.
Yeah.
Number 2. Have you needed to gamble with larger amounts of money to get the same feeling of excitement? Woohoo!
No.
Never. Sometimes. Most of the time. Always.
Never.
No.
No, never.
Right. So that's a never. Number 3. Have you gone back another day to try to win back the money you lost? Never. Sometimes. Most of the time. Always. Remember, we have to be honest as Barstewards. John?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Chris?
No, never. I'm quite disciplined like that, so no, I can honestly say never.
Depends. In my younger days, I'd probably say yes, I did. Now I don't. But so what does that count as?
The last 12 months, isn't it? It's the last 12 months,
yeah,
so
never.
I guess never
Yeah, I
would
was
be the right
sort
one.
of going to my younger days, actually.
Inexperienced times. Have you borrowed money or sold anything to gamble?
Yeah.
Never. Sometimes. Most of the time. Always. I've remortgaged my house. Yeah, I've done a Robbie box. I've pawned things. 100%. When I'm struggling, don't mind admitting it. Bankroll is key. So I'm saying always. Chris, what would you say?
Never. Not last 12 months, no, never.
Oh, yeah, it's last 12 months. Shit. I ain't done it in the last 12 months.
No.
Oh, yeah, it's put in a quandary now. I was thinking like lifetime.
I see. Yeah.
John, you haven't done it in the last 12 months, have you?
No.
We've got to be never again, aren't we?
Yeah.
Even though I've done it in past.
Yeah. I got a home improvement loan out once.
Oh, 100%.
I did eventually improve my home. It took about 6 months to get the money built up from the original loan.
So within 12 months, we're answering this honestly.
Mm.
So, okay. So it's got to be a never again. Have
Yeah.
you felt that you might have a problem with gambling? Never, sometimes, most of the time, always. We've got to answer never again, haven't we? Because
Yeah.
there is no problem.
never.
It's just a case when you don't win, it's really shit, isn't it?
That's it. No problem. I don't even fucking like it.
John's like totally distanced from this. Number 5, never. Have people criticise your betting? Yeah. Or told you that you had a gambling problem, whether or not you thought it was true?
God, yeah.
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 I'd say most of the time for that one.
Yeah, because it's society's view, isn't it? It's how society views betting. So, yeah, most punters will have had that experience.
Have you felt guilty about the way you gamble or what happens when you gamble?
Absolutely not.
I'm completely dead inside. Never.
Absolutely not. No, never.
Right. Number 8. Has gambling caused you any health problems, including stress or anxiety? Absolutely massive. Always. 100%. How the fucking hell can you earn a living from gambling and not have stress or anxiety? It's not possible. It's just fucking not possible.
No.
Unless you've got a marked deck or you've got a massive fund to play with, there's always going to be stress and anxiety, isn't there?
100%. It's an inevitable consequence of having a bet, isn't it? It is a self-induced crisis. That's what having a bet is.
What's the difference between stock market when the stock goes down and the traders chuck themselves off the roofs after a horrendous day where they've lost the lot? I'd say always. That's always, but that's just a gimme, isn't it?
Completely.
I'm sorry. If you don't suffer that, it's like saying, I like losing. I enjoy it. I really love it. And if I lose a lot of money,
Yeah, it gives me a different perspective on the
I
game.
start smiling and laughing. What a load of shit that is.
Yeah.
Number 9. Has your gambling caused any financial problems for you or your household? Absolutely. Jesus fucking Christ. If you bet full time, how can it not? Apart
Yeah.
from the very, very wealthy, the ultimately wealthy, I have not met one person that has ever not had it rough. It's the way of the world. It's fucking variance. I would say always, again, in the last 12 months, there's always a worry. There's always like, can we pay a bill, Chris?
Yeah, it's inevitable. You'd be more worried about the person that actually enjoys losing than the person that has a negative effect of losing, because that's irrational, isn't it?
Sure.
Who do you know enjoys losing money? You'd have to have something wrong with you to have that. So I would suggest that's a normal
So
response.
I'm clicking submit. Right, here we go. The live survey. Oh, fucking hell. Enter your email address, you bastards. Here we go. They've analysed the Barstewards. They have said, client name, dummy client. Yeah.
Yes, they're right there.
Total score, 9 out of 27. Severity index, problematic. We are problematic gamblers. We have scored above the 8 line.
There you go.
Problem gamblers gamble with negative consequences and a possible loss of control. It shows you what bollocks this is. And this is going to go to national health, isn't it? What an absolute load of shit. We're problematic.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I've had a lifetime of winning out of it. And I'm problematic. Does that not show you how bent and how stupid the research is?
The default position is that anyone who gambles will lose, right? That they cannot conceive that anybody is capable of winning. So if you operate from that premise, any negative emotion is going to be indicative that you are a problem gambler, because you can't win at gambling. Everyone knows that. That's what I operate from.
Sweet bejesus. We failed. We've all failed. Me, John, and Chris have failed live on the show. We're all problem gamblers. That shows you what an idiocy we're living in. We should be able to highlight this as absolute bollocks. And this is what it is. Fucking hell, we've just done the test and answered honestly.
Yeah.
How can 9 out of 27 be problematic? You might as well say it at fucking 5, hadn't you? And just get it done and get your funding. You bent fucks. Yeah. What a load of absolute tosh have we just done there. But there we go. We've done it. We've played the game. We've entered the arena.
And lost.
And there you go. Yeah, we're all problem gamblers on this show. Right. To finish the show, we've had messages last week about a few digs really from the AK podcast regarding our stance with Matt Zarb, etc., and the naive angle. I think it's important to address balance with our podcast and AKs, which I do respect, by the way. I like the AK podcast. I like the people on it. Harry Stewart Moore is incredibly credible. So this is not a slagging, but I'm going to get a dig in here back because I think we need to, after they said that anyone involved with the likes of Matt Zarb cousin is naive and basically a bit thick. I'm going to defend that angle because I think the AK Bets pod, although it's rather good, is coming from a BGC angle. They are parroting BGC talking points. It's like Duggar is writing their script. A story here is that Ben Keith once tried to set up Michael Duggar appear on our show, and this is true, but they wanted preloaded questions. So in other words, I had to give him the questions and the format before he'd agree to appear. Well, that's not a podcast, is it?
No.
If I say,
No, it
right,
isn't.
Michael Duggar, here's your mouthpiece, come and say what you want, you know what's coming. Well, that's not really how it works, is it? The idea of a
No.
podcast is to maybe be caught on the back foot, like sometimes we all are. And that's true. And Michael Duggar is the BGC mouthpiece. And I do feel a lot of the AK Bets podcast is that way inclined. And of course, if you are bookmakers, which AK is, that's fine. I don't mind AK. Don't mind him earning a living, do what he's doing. But aren't you biased before you even start towards your casino product?
Of course you are. Yeah. You're not objective. It's an inevitable consequence of broadcasting from a particular industry standpoint. And that's why this is truly independent, because we don't have bookmaker money. So we can say pretty much what we like within the bounds of the law. Whatever they say, he is a bookmaker, right? So he is inevitably going to protect his industry, his living. Why wouldn't he? So it's a bit rich people calling out for being naive, etc. You've got to look at what position they're coming from. They're coming from a position of parroting the BGC mandated topics. It's a good podcast. They're interesting. They're funny. They're talented people. But fundamentally, it's a bookmaking industry podcast. That's it. And they defend the right of the bookmaking industry to make as much money as they can from punters. Whether you agree with that or not, that's their standpoint. And, and why would they go against that? So, all this crap about, oh, well, you're naive, etc. Well, we may be naive, absolutely, and time may prove that we are incredibly naive, but they're looking to maintain the status quo. That's what they're there to do.
Yep.
And they're very good at it.
John, anything to add?
In the words of Cluffy, I still believe in fairies, and I'll carry on down this road until Matt Zarb proves otherwise.
Yep, that is it. If we get fucked over, I don't believe we've lost anything as a podcast because...
Well, basically, there's going to be a few people going to say it was, well, I told you, you stupid cunts. And that'll be it, because we haven't cost the game anything by trying to do this.
No.
We've still wholeheartedly supported anyone who's trying to get rid of affordability checks right across the board.
Yeah.
We've still supported any of that. I don't see why anybody needs to have a problem with us doing what we're doing.
I said it to the producer earlier in terms of how I saw it. If someone said to me, you've only got one more bet in racing, it's got to be a Charles Burns runner, 5-1 chance in a fucking handicap hurdle in Ireland. Is it off? Is it not off? I don't know. But that's your only chance. I'll take the 20% chance over the 0% chance that everyone's got right now. And believe me, it's not. And that's it. Honestly, I understand people that don't like us for siding with the harm groups. But personally, at this moment in time, I don't see the harm groups as a problem. I really don't. I think it's Big Corp. Big Corp have shooed us into this position. And I think we need to fight. It's the last stand. There's nothing else on the table. So it's absolute pointless to have a go at us. You can do. I'm fine with it. Keep firing away. But you're not getting anywhere. It's this or nothing. It is last chance saloon for racing. No one else is coming to you to save you. Fine. If you think we're siding with bad characters, that's your prerogative and decision. But we've made a judgment call, and I've viewed it mathematically that we might have a 20% chance of pulling this off. There's 0% down the other direction. So what do you want? That's the question. Hope you've enjoyed it. That's about all from me, John and Chris. We're back with the Cheltenham preview, of course, coming out on Monday for Patreon and Tuesday free to air. Bye for now.